Ho, 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 it's me, Christmas Mr. Cow here, and I'm here to share love and joy and cookies, I guess, with everyone. I don't know about you, but I'm just about ready to usher in the new year, and I think I know just the way to do it. Curled up on the couch with a warm bevy and some classic Christmas entertainment. You know, I read somewhere recently that people thought there were no impactful Christmas stories after Elf in 2003, which is downright stupid if you ask me. I mean, there was Klaus back in 2019, and okay, I can't think of any others. But come on, I mean, what even gave people this perception other than the fact that it's mostly true? Well, I'll tell you, there was a bunch of mediocre and downright awful Christmas movies and TV shows. And when I say downright awful, I mean bad. That's what that means, bad. Yep, just a bunch of shit. That's what killed Christmas. Sorry, Jesus, and there's no bigger piece of shit than the 2021 classic Christmas story about an elf who wants to be the next Santa Claus. And of course, I'm talking about Santa Inc., which honestly doesn't sound or look all that terrible in concept. A fun little Christmas mini-series with the comedy stylings of Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman, and anyone else they could trick into being on the project doesn't really sound all that bad. But would you guess, a show with that premise has a rating of 1.7 out of 10 on IMDb. That's 0.1 better than Velma, for a Christmas show about an elf. Oh, sorry, a female elf. Does that explain it? Is it all sexism? Well, given that one of the most popular animated shows of the year has not one but two female lead characters in it, makes me think that, nope, probably not sexism. So how does a show review this poorly? Because this is shocking. Well, I'll tell you how. Instead of writing a TV show, you write a 3-hour tweet with characters who vent all of your political and social frustrations.
I chose the first black successor, capital B. Now that was some change you can fucking believe in.
Petunia, thank you and good luck to you. My body, my choice.
Amen, woman.
Why the fuck are we always on Thanksgiving's time schedule? The whole holiday is based on an imperialist lie.
You could give me what most industrialized nations provide, health insurance with maternity leave.
But he loved my article about global warming.
I hate the corporate world, and I love weaving tapestries!
Oh, I'm so happy for Timmy, the totally uninteresting white male choice that will do nothing for this company.
You see, Santa Inc. is one of those shows similar to Velma where the creators think they are so funny and smart that if anyone disagrees with them, they must be completely butt-fucking sane. The egos of the people behind Santa Inc. are so fragile that not being funny or entertaining is an alien concept to them because they've been patted on the back and surrounded by yes men for so long that they basically think of themselves as deities. Instead of learning anything from the criticism or taking accountability for anything throughout their careers, they just deflect, deny, or my personal favorite response, blame the audience. You know, the people you're trying to win over, it's their fault you're not funny. Seth Rogen, the voice of Santa in Santa Inc., and also the big monkey from Mario, heavily implied in a tweet that the show was being attacked by tens of thousands of white supremacists. Now, how did he imply this? By literally saying it on Twitter. You know, because of Christmas. And he meant white supremacists like people who think it has to snow like a white Christmas for Christmas, right? Not people who think white people should be in charge of the world, right? He's not saying his show is getting bad reviews because white supremacists are attacking it in the tens of thousands, which, mind you, there aren't tens of thousands of reviews of this show on IMDb, there's 18,000. But you know what, maybe he just got the number wrong. He can't possibly mean actual white supremacists.
Maybe the whacked should be something that deserves it, like whack a white supremacist.
Oh wait, he actually does. But why? Why jump right to white supremacy? I mean, haters kind of seems like the natural first target when you're combating those evil critics. Well, as it turns out, there's another piece of this puzzle that both explains the incredibly low IMDb score and Seth Rogen's statement. You see, Santa Inc. isn't really a Christmas miniseries. It's an uber political mouthpiece for disconnected entertainment industry morons. Santa Inc. is uncomfortably political, overly self-indulgent and preachy, and needlessly panders to a very niche and possibly non-existent audience with its story, characters, and subject matter to the point where it usually forgets it's supposed to be a comedy, and also about Christmas. Now, I don't know about you, but controversial hot-button topics like sexism and corporate corruption and all this other stuff really gets me in the Christmas spirit. You know, some people watch Die Hard on Christmas, but the creators of Santa Inc. just watch C-SPAN. Alright, anyways, the creator Alexandra Rushfield wanted so badly for this show to be important and influential that they forgot to make it funny and entertaining. It's a classic problem for Hollywood idiots. But I do want to make it clear that I have no doubt in my mind that the team behind Santa Inc., actors, everyone, faced some manner of harassment or hate speech because of this show. Because for one thing, it's incredibly political, and for another thing, it's really fucking terrible, even with the political stuff completely stripped out of it. Like, it's not a good show, alright? That does not defend the hate speech. It also does not defend the fact that Seth Rogen called attention to all this shit. Because bad entertainment discussion always brings out the most hateful people on the internet, because it's a breeding ground for just that. Hate, alright? People hate the show. It's kind of like this. Two people are talking about how much they hate Santa Inc. on the internet. They go back and forth, talking about the unfunny jokes, the annoying characters, the preachy dialogue, and so on. The discussion stays fairly constructive with its criticism until a third person enters the ring and says something fucking crazy like, "That's what you get for making a Jewish woman the lead of a show." And just like that, the two people having an intelligent conversation have just been dragged down to the level of an inbred cum-guzzling idiot. This annoying fact of internet discussion can make it really difficult to have a constructive critical discussion about a show, but it goes both ways. Just like how someone chiming in and saying something outlandish and hateful ruins the discussion, the creators or cast of a show acknowledging only the worst of their critics to discredit the lot of them also completely ruins the discussion. You can't just call your critics names to make the problems with your project go away. Goddamn, all of this over a Christmas show. We're over 5 minutes in and we've barely even talked about the show itself. That's how much controversy and stupid shit surrounded this pile of crap. So let's actually talk about the real show now. 3 years later, when all this dust has settled, to see what we're actually dealing with here, because I think a lot of stuff got muddled in the controversy and in high emotions. Is there some stuff in Santa Inc. that's really great that people missed, or is it as terrible as I remembered? Well, we're about to find out because I sat down and rewatched all of it, which ironically, Santa Inc. is a show that likes to critique Amazon a whole lot, and it was made for HBO Max until it did horribly and HBO Max sold it off to Freevee, which is owned by Amazon. So a show that is supposed to be taking down Amazon and empowering people to strike and stand up, which we'll get to later, is actually owned by Amazon, which I just think is kind of funny. But anyways, let's talk about the actual show. Santa Inc. is a show that aims to critique male-centric work cultures while empowering women, and possibly, in the long term, women. It takes a look at frat boy culture in businesses and shows how ridiculous and unfair it is. It aims to talk about corporate corruption and gender roles in the workplace while exploring and propping up feminist ideals. Now that's a lot of really heavy, complicated shit right there that is really hard to tackle. And while I don't have a problem with a show tackling any of these issues, I have to ask, does a show that looks like this, with jokes like these...
I want you to give the State of the Workshop speech tonight.
Oh my God! So honored.
Hold on. I have to say this right now.
Hey, I have a rape whistle. This is my consensual sex whistle. Fuck, where's my rape one? Rape.
really seem like the right medium for these very serious and honestly kind of dour topics. The short answer is absolutely fucking not. Santa Inc. is branded as a Christmas show, and it seems to want absolutely fucking nothing to do with actual Christmas. Santa Inc. just uses Christmas traditions, imagery, and characters to tell a story about corporate corruption, sexism, and workplace rights. On what planet would something like that be taken seriously, especially when it's written this blatantly and lazy? A lot of the commentary in the show on hot button issues is presented completely straight, like we're supposed to take it seriously, but the rest of the show is so lowbrow and silly that it feels completely tone deaf. It's like if a theater decided to put on the musical version of The Grinch and then the director decides that they're going to rewrite the entire thing to make it a politically charged, important, and topical, influential work of art. But as it turns out, that's not why people go to see The Grinch. They go to see The Grinch for a lighthearted, silly story about a green guy learning to kill people, or whatever the fuck The Grinch is about. It's been a while. And that's another problem with Santa Inc. It seemingly doesn't understand what Christmas is about. And no, it's not Jesus, at least not for the purposes of this video. I'm talking about more of the pop culture perception of Christmas, all right? If you think God's son was born the same day, whatever. but I'm talking about the pop culture essence of Christmas, all right? I'm not gonna dock this show points because they didn't mention how Jesus was born on this day. I don't think that's fair to Santa Inc. Anyways, Candy, the main character of the show, is an elf who wants nothing more than to be Santa, but keeps getting the short end of the stick because she has a vagina and also because she's an elf, but that kind of takes a backseat and we'll get to that whole point later. But anyways, Candy gives a speech at the end of the show about what she thinks Christmas is really about.
And when you really think about it, you know, when you're a kid, there's only one day a year more special than any other day. One day where you get presents just for being you. Even if on other days your mom snaps at you, or your brother is annoying, or your dad never makes it home from work. There's one day when the world smiles down and says, "You matter, kiddo." And that day is Christmas. And we are the magic behind that day. And to me, that's pretty fucking huge.
She's like, when you're a kid, you like Christmas because you get stuff and you feel like you matter, which seems like a wild oversimplification and broad misunderstanding of what other Christmas stories say Christmas is about. It's kind of like if you watched Home Alone and the moral you took away from it was, oh, thank God they left the kid at home, or all their stuff would have been stolen. That would have really sucked if they lost all their stuff. Thank God Kevin McAllister was at home. It's like, yeah, I guess. Sorry, I just listened to that back with the voice, and that's genuinely how this show like reads Christmas as. It's like, Christmas is about getting stuff when you're a kid because that's what matters. And it's like, what are you talking about? Are you fucking stupid? Like, it's so off. And also, like, that's what you take away from it. That's what you take away from these things. Not things like, oh, Home Alone's, you know, also about appreciating your family. The lengths a mother will go to protect her child, how things can get blurry and confused with the hustle and bustle of Christmas, and how we should treat our neighbors with love because that's how we want to be treated. And also to defend your home with your life, I guess, is another lesson you can take from it. It's not just you get the stuff and that makes you feel like you matter. It's such a weird takeaway for Christmas. It just completely misunderstands it, and it's still making me laugh even now because it's just so, it's comically off, and they play it completely straight and seemingly think they've come up with something brilliant because of that, which is just even funnier. It's probably the funniest thing about the show, honestly. When you really look at Santa Inc., it seems to think that Christmas is about gifts, consumerism, sexism, and a bunch of other cynical stuff that exists within like the corporate world that they're trying to make fun of. It doesn't read as funny, it doesn't read as entertaining, it definitely doesn't read as smart because they say things so matter-of-factly in the show. There's nothing clever about any of it, except for like the actual design of characters and the animation, but that doesn't have anything to do with the writing. When it comes to writing, it's so simplistic and stupid, it's just embarrassing, and worse yet, it's very, very cynical. Even when Candy wins in the end, they can't even give her a full victory because they want to fucking, and this is real, they want to sequel bait at the end like they're gonna do another season of this pile of shit. It is amazing how disconnected and delusional they are from what Christmas is and what entertainment is. It's shocking. All right, I'm not even exaggerating here. I'm a little bit lightheaded from laughing at just how stupid this show is, so we're gonna go to an MF Doom Christmas break. We'll be right back.
Why spend Christmas Eve waiting for some extra fat white dude to come busting through the ceiling when you could spend Christmas Eve with yours truly, the super villain, Doom? Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, I've calmed down. I've gotten some water. Let's move on from Christmas and the commentary and all that stuff for a second, just to talk about our main character, Candy, voiced by Sarah Silverman. When Santa Inc. starts out, it's really hard not to root for Candy. She's the hardworking underdog who's dreamed of being Santa her whole life. She has two friends who support her, but other than that, she's completely alone in her quest for her dream. Her family is selfish and doesn't care, and she's never given a fair shot at the big times at work. And after rewatching the first two episodes, I'll be real, I was starting to question why I hated this show so much when I first saw it. Sure, there was some super heavy-handed political and social commentary, but damn it, I can relate to trying anything to make my dreams come true. Who can't relate to that? It's a recipe for a likable, relatable character. It honestly felt like I was watching a mediocre and barely watchable Christmas spin-off of Big Mouth for a bit, which is high praise, given that I remember watching this show feeling like peeling my own penis like a banana. But the writing in Santa Inc. is so so stupid and on the nose that it just wears you down the further you get into it. Candy becomes hateable after the second episode ends, and she never won me back over. She has barely any flaws other than she works too hard and neglects her friends because she just wants to make her dreams come true so bad. After a while, her friends stop supporting her because she stops supporting them, and then the resolution is just them deciding, okay, let's all be supportive again. That's not satisfying at all, and Candy is still lacking in any kind of flaws or shortcomings that she can then overcome. Except for one, of course, which is gonna really shock you guys, but after rewatching the show, I noticed a pretty glaring flaw with how it's set up. The show seems to imply that her two main flaws, Candy's, our main characters, are being an elf and being a woman. I'm being completely serious.
When I was a kid, I had big dreams. You know, I didn't know that as a girl, they didn't always come true.
Those are like the two things that hold her back most in the show that she has to overcome. And because of these two factors, she is never going to get what she wants until she holds, and this is real also, until she holds a walkout to get health care and pensions for coal miners. No, seriously, that's the climax of this show. And even after that, she doesn't get what she wants, all right? She technically murders someone in the show also. She murders Rudolph Jr., who's like a horrible sexist pig, or I guess sexist reindeer. But oh, it turns out Rudolph was just jealous of how awesome Candy is, and he had a crush on her, and she rejected him because he's lame, and that's what made him so hateful and terrible, because Candy is so awesome. This is like a self-pitying fan fiction, and it's honestly really embarrassing on a second watch through because I feel like they didn't accomplish what they set out to do. I was rooting for Candy at the start of the show, despite all of the annoying political stuff, despite all the preachiness of it. I was rooting for her. Then she became less and less likable, and even then she doesn't overcome what she needs to overcome because they wanted to sequel bait it into a second season, so we don't get a satisfying ending. She doesn't get to succeed. You couldn't throw her a bone to succeed. Isn't the whole point that she's the best choice for Santa? Why doesn't she get to be Santa? Why doesn't she get to win in the end? Are we having some like cynical, like La La Land ass ending where it's like, well, the real world doesn't work that way? It's an animated Christmas special. Take a creative liberty. Have the lady be Santa. Have you not seen the episode of The Office where they make Phyllis Santa and Michael has a whole thing about that? That episode accomplishes in 20 minutes what Santa Inc. failed to accomplish in 3 hours. It's fucking insane how incompetent this show is.
Who wants Phyllis as Santa?
No, wait, no. There are other choices.
I mean, there are really few saving graces. Like, while all this annoying stuff is happening, there's unsatisfying story things going on. There's political screaming throughout it. And then the comedy is the laziest shit ever. And it's paired with this super high effort, beautiful animation that I just absolutely fucking love. It breaks your brain as you watch it. And all the while, they're screaming about politics and they're screaming about social issues. And they don't know how to make it interesting or engaging for the audience. So they just say stuff. They just say things. Oh, I could use health insurance. Oh, I can't climb this corporate ladder. It's so hard. It's such a boys club. It's so on the nose and stupid. It's like those political cartoons where it's like a rhinoceros and like a giraffe and they write words on them and then dumb people read them to feel smart and they're like, oh yes, of course, the deficit.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's funny. You don't get it.
It's like one of those. That's how Santa Inc.'s political commentary works. It's basic, it's stupid, it takes no effort, and it doesn't say anything interesting that has any impact on anyone. And the final nail in the coffin on Santa Inc. that really makes it embarrassing with how little effort went into the writing while the animation is just carrying the entire show on its back is the fact that they don't want anything to do with like nuance, subtlety, metaphor, analogies, none of that. What they could have done is just used the elf angle to push the feminist messaging. Use it as a metaphor. Candy can still be a female elf, and the controversy in the world of Santa Inc. is that an elf wants to be Santa. And that elf culture could be the exact same as the work culture they're talking about with the boys club and these frat boy antics and all that stuff. You could have done the same exact thing, still have it be an adult show. It just would have been more clever. It would have been easier to digest. It wouldn't have felt like you're just reading something off of Twitter because it's been repackaged and transformed into something called, get this, entertainment. All of this lazy, boring, unfunny shit in Santa Inc. stems from a bunch of Hollywood morons wanting to feel like they're important and special. And I'll say it right now, the people who worked on Santa Inc. are very special. They made one of the worst fucking things I've ever had to sit through. And I sat through it twice. So I know for fucking sure. So here we are, 3 years later, another watch through of Santa Inc. under my belt, but why bother returning to a show like this that was so universally panned? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as we grow as people, those shows and movies that were so awful in the past stay exactly the same. And it's a good way to gauge how your tastes have changed, and it's also a great opportunity to learn from others' mistakes. And sometimes these awful shows surprise you in ways you could have never predicted. I didn't think I'd enjoy the first 2 episodes as much as I did. I didn't think Candy would have been so likable to start out with. And most shockingly, I remember clearly, very clearly, only laughing once when I first watched this show at this bit.
Wrong ho.
Is that what you tell your wife?
No, ma'am. I tell her my truth, which is that anal rocks.
But this time around, I definitely got into the low, and trust me, I mean low, single digits for laughs. There are some solid non sequiturs, some fun shock humor jokes, and even one joke I would consider genuinely funny.
Wrong ho.
Is that what you tell your wife?
No, ma'am. I tell her my truth, which is that anal rocks.
The animation is still great, and there was a ton of work that went into making this world and its characters feel fun and unique. There are candy cane vapes, there are tasers that shoot out little Christmas lights. It's just such a goddamn shame that all this cool stuff was in service of a bunch of genuine crazy people that were in charge of writing it. But that's where we are today, and I remember giving Santa Inc. a score of 1 out of 10. But you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to a 2. Because I really like the animation, I laughed a little bit more, and you know what? I think I've grown enough as a person to say that this show probably isn't as bad as the first season of Velma, because that was really, really, really bad. But hey, I guess I'll revisit Velma in like 2027, so stay tuned for that one, I guess. But for right now, I think I'm just gonna go relax, watch some fun Christmas movies, and I'd encourage you all to do the same. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and I forgot to write the end of this script, so it just says, and of C. And of C to all. Good night, everybody.